I am content creator Joey Garrity. I'm the founder of Superstar Women Entrepreneurs Media Network and Joey G113. I'm dedicated to empowering women entrepreneurs to create a beautiful personal and professional lifestyle by spotlighting superstar tools, tips, and resources that gain them ease and grace. Every episode, myself, along with a featured guest, share our Superstar Women Entrepreneurs journey on my globally recognized show, Superstar Women Entrepreneurs Spotlight with Joey. Hi, everyone. Welcome to SW Spotlight with Joey. I'm content creator Joey Garrity. You can learn more about me at joeyg113.com, about my products, my services, my books, etc. I'm a content creator and I'm also the founder of Superstar Women Entrepreneurs Media Network. I have an incredible guest on today. I have been watching her for a while and she said yes to coming on the show. And she is all about supporting women out there. So, you know, how to have her on the show. Plus, she has an amazing puppy, like really cute. We'll be showing her puppy in a minute as well. I did a little reel, so we were doing that, but we're also going to be talking about her books as well. And before we get going, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate it, especially if you're a woman entrepreneur, because you're supporting other women entrepreneurs out there. So today's topic is how to step into your gifts and talent with documentarian Leslie Zemeckis. She is phenomenal. She's gorgeous and she is living a great life. Oh, and there's one more thing too. We're going to share. She has these little pigs. Okay, that's another reason it grabbed my attention. I watch her reels and I'm like, I love those pigs. She's just so interesting. She's very cool. And so I'm going to bring her up from the green room. Hi, Leslie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you.
Oh my God. I love that you're a best-selling author. You have these incredible documentaries, you have books, and your books are so interesting. And I want to jump into one of your books right away. I want to talk about this book. I read up on all your books. This one, The Goddess Love of Love.
Goddess of Love incarnate. Yep.
Yes. Could you tell us a little bit more about it? Because it's so interesting.
I can. Well, this whole journey of everything I've delved into with my books and my documentary started with my first film, which was Behind the Burlicue, which was the history of burlesque. And then I did a book because I had so many stories. So when it was out, one of the women who was married to Harold Minsky, which was a huge name, even people who know nothing about burlesque know Minsky.
Sure.
She came to me and she said, "You have to write a book about my sister, Lily Sincere." And I'm like, I did burlesque. I'm not interested. And she just gave me all this. She gave me tapes and all kind of information. Then I started researching, and I realized she's exactly the type of people that I like to highlight because she was so well known in her day. She was a huge burlesque star. Marilyn Monroe would go to the clubs and follow her around and kind of imitate her talk. She had a weird little voice and gestures.
Right.
And I just she had a lot of headlines in her life, married, suicide attempts, a chauffeur on standby, but I wanted to know who she was behind that, which is what I try and do with everybody that I've written a book about or done a film about. Not just a stripper, not just her headline. Who was she? And she was hugely interesting to me. Very influential in pop culture. She had this little poodle haircut, and then all of a sudden, all the stars got it. Betty Davis and everything had this little haircut, just like she did. And she really, really interests me. So,
She's fantastic, and she also had a very tragic end.
mhm.
And what's so interesting about her is how she was impacting people's lifestyles, just like you, about the hair and the style, and yet she ended up being a recluse, right?
Yeah,
And really having this tragic end, and I think about that. I think about how, you're such a big spotlight out there, and all of a sudden, what starts happening for people,
yeah.
right?
she just didn't have the tools to deal with it. But what was interesting,
Mhm.
even though it's a very tragic end, she had a really an amazing life. And
Yes.
talking about her sister said, I don't feel sorry for how she ended because
Mhm.
she did lead an incredible life. She got to go a lot of places. She got to experience a lot of things. So I kind of take that away from it more than the tragic end. I mean, she was older when she died, so she didn't go very young. But,
Yeah.
um,
I wanna talk about, A Woman You Should Know.
mhm,
I love these pop-ups that you're doing, and you're talking, again, spotlighting women authors,
yeah.
and I always like your backdrops, by the way, and they're really great, right? And it's just so interesting. Can you, just tell the audience more about that?
Well, it started, I write for Medium, which I haven't done in a while because I'm writing a book and I just haven't had time. And my series in that was A Woman You Should Know, and it would be anybody from history. I don't even remember who I wrote about right now. And I do periodically on Instagram these series highlighting authors, and I just thought I want to highlight their character, whatever character, female character they're writing about. So that's what I've just started. A Woman You Should Know, and then the author comes on and they talk why we should know this character, and it's always a book that I've read and really admire.
I love it. That is such a roll out the red carpet moment. Again, I love how you're spotlighting other women, some that we might not have known about if you had not expressed your passionate love for that book.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's just so many incredible stories out there, and I think they make our lives better knowing about them, knowing what somebody went through, what they accomplished. It's just interesting to me.
It's very cool. I love this share, step in your spotlight share. It's like, I didn't accept no.
Yeah, you can't accept no, otherwise that's all you would get. You find a way around it, or you just keep going, or you just ignore it. I just ignore it. I don't even hear
That made me giggle when I got that. I was like, "Good for her." I was like, but what it's also very intriguing when you're just like, "Yeah, I'm not just gonna accept no." And I know as women out there that there's a lot of people, like, expressing that, encouraging that, but you're living that. I
it.
mean, you can tell in the lifestyle that you're living where you're doing it. You're just in forward motion, so blessings to
Well,
that sister.
I would probably have no films if I listened to everybody. Nobody wanted to make them. They all wanted them afterwards. I mean, Showtime bought my first one. My
Yes.
second one debuted on Netflix, but nobody wanted to make them to start with. So it was like, I'll show you.
You know, that I feel is very commonplace, right? I had someone the other day say, "I wanna do events, but everyone's telling me not to." I said, "Don't ask. Do not ask people their opinion."
Right.
Okay? Especially
Unless
other
unless
women.
you really care what they have to say, but
Yeah, I said because there's this thing called, the Good Girl Club, and there's a lot of books out there about it, about how women are protecting other women. They're really not being discouraging on purpose. They're trying to protect you, almost unconsciously. So I'm just like, "Go for it." I said, "Once you do your first event, you'll do second and third and fourth, and maybe you won't like them anymore, but just do it.
yeah,
Just have fun. Just have a good time with it all."
yeah, exactly.
I like it. I love that you're just going for it. Um, I want to show a little bit of this reel. It has, a few of your books and your puppy. Cheers. I had to show somebody.
Coco the dog and cocktails.
Right? We had to end it with cheers.
Yeah.
I was just like, I love how you take us on your journey of your lifestyle too. Like you'll have food, you'll take us with food
Uh-huh.
and maybe a glass of wine or into an event. So I'm like we have to end with that for sure, for sure. Um, Could you just I do wanna just jump into the pigs just for 1 second.
Mhm.
Um, so how did that come about? How that you got
They
your
were very surprising. My daughter wanted pigs for the summer, and, we go to Italy every summer, and so I went there early, and the pigs were probably 6 to 8 weeks old, so I was the one who had to spend literally hours every day with them to get them used to me.
Oh,
And I just fell in love with them. They are the neatest little creatures. They're like little dogs. I mean, they wag your tail, they come when you call, they just run over and plop down. They want their belly rubbed. They are absolutely adorable.
they're really cool. They're so much
They're
fun. They're so
they're
much fun to watch.
oh god, they are.
Let's jump into behind the burly Q.
Mhm.
This is again, you pick very, the fabric of your books and your documentaries are so unique. They're very interesting. This really caught my attention. Will you tell everyone a little bit more about it?
I will. Well, I was doing a one woman show on stage, and I kind of modeled my character after what I thought Gypsy Rose Lee, which I really hardly knew anything about. So I was researching her, and obviously burlesque came up, and I thought, well, what is burlesque? And the more I researched, the more I realized the women, although my film deals with anybody who was in burlesque, including the men, the musicians, the producers, whatever. Most of the information, the books, etc., they didn't deal with the women beyond, oh, Lily Sincere had a bathtub act. Well, like, who was she? Where did she come from? What happened afterwards? And that's what I wanted to know. So the more I researched, I thought, I want to make a film about this. And
Mhm.
spent 2 years traveling across America, finding anybody who had been in burlesque, hundreds of hours of interviews of really interesting people. A
Yeah.
lot had never talked about it before, and a lot said to me, nobody ever asked. They didn't care. It was like once it was over, it was over.
Mhm.
Nobody wanted to know about it, or they just assumed they were prostitutes, which they weren't at all.
No, no, they were talent.
Yeah, they were
Yes,
artists and dancers,
yes, yes.
making a living and supporting themselves and traveling. And I really just fell in love with so many of them.
What's one of the what's I mean, I know there's just endless takeaways, but what was one of that takeaways that you were really surprised about when you were talking to these artists?
Well, it didn't hit me until later when I was doing a bunch of interviews about when the film and the book came out, that none of them, not one of them, disparaged their body type
Mm,
ever in any of my interviews. They didn't say one thing, and they were all kinds of body types. They weren't the perfect what you would think.
right.
I mean, they never said anything bad about their bodies, which I found super interesting.
That is well, we could all learn from that.
Yeah, I mean, it just wasn't even. I mean, here they were taking off a great majority of their clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember in San Francisco, there was a revamp movement around this.
Mhm.
And I remember meeting, an artist. She called herself an artist and asking her about this and how they feel like it's an extension of themselves, this essence that they're really expressing in a different way. And I was just like, "Whoa, this is so interesting." And she does really well. She does this across the country. I was like, "Good for you, good for you." So I found that this was very cool. I also thought it was interesting too, that you talk about how, again, so many of them hadn't ever been interviewed before.
Yeah,
What are the
nobody
odds?
cared. Nobody cared. They just thought, "Oh, you're somebody who takes off your clothes. Your story can't be interesting."
Yeah, again, where does all that come from sometimes? People are just they're not I don't know, they're
We like
ridiculous.
to label. We like to label people,
Mhm.
which I've found for all my films. It's like either strippers, freaks, or circus people. It's like, oh God, we know what that's about, which they don't actually know at all.
Yes, yes. Here is you, with a copy of your book. It's so much fun, and I really liked the cover of this book too with the
Thank
purple
you.
paint,
They did a great job. Yeah,
right?
I mean,
That's what
she
did
was
such a
really
good job.
stunningly beautiful.
I wanna share, the spotlight tip, believe in what you do and find your community to support you. So, Leslie, but you've been finding communities. and supporting them. That's what I find so interesting. Like
Well,
you've
but then,
taken
when it comes back, I have a mentoring program with young writers, and I introduce them to published authors, and they give them their story never. And one of the biggest things, whatever it is, you need your community of somebody that, "Ugh, my writing's going terrible today." You text them, or how do you do this, or what's this, or and just you really, especially. I mean, I would say all the arts,
yes.
or anything. We all need our community, and you've got to find those people, and you have to give back equally.
I agree 1,010%. I'm an author of 2 books, and I'll tell you, putting myself on the cover of the second book took all my courage, but I did it on purpose. I want women out there to step out of the shadows and into their spotlight, right? And share their gifts and talents. And being an author, I tell everyone, I said, you're not going to know yourself better until you become an author. It is self-development work times a million. I mean, haven't you found that? It's like it's crazy. You really have to lean into yourself.
Absolutely.
And I'm just curious, so with the documentaries, um, you have another documentary about the lion tamer.
Tiger Tamer.
Tiger
Tiger Trainer,
yes.
not tamer.
Oh, trainer, yes.
Uh,
How
because
did that come about?
pardon me?
How did you find this story?
Well,
I'm
it's
so
it's
curious.
all from the burlesque. I found the Siamese twins who were briefly in burlesque, which I did my second. I became super fascinated by them, and so and then by researching their world, which was from sideshow to vaudeville to circus, um, I discovered this Mabel Stark, who was the world's first female tiger trainer. And I just thought, oh my God, what does it take to go into a ring with a tiger? I thought it was going to be all about courage, and it just interests me. And I went and I interviewed. She was long dead. I interviewed a bunch of former uh, trainers, and it all turned out to be about love of these cats, not courage at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
They just fell in love with these cats, which are pretty amazing in person. They're
Yeah.
hypnotizing.
Yes. Yeah, I saw the one sheet for that. It was so cool in the little trailer. It
Yeah.
was really neat.
I
It
mean,
was really neat.
she was literally scarred from head to toe from her cats, and she loved
Oh, right? The love of your purpose, the love of her purpose, right? And then you brought her back to life with the with sharing about her story.
them.
And probably back then, was it unusual for a woman to be doing that? To be
Yes
an
and no. The men, when she started in the teens, I guess, were the bigger stars,
yeah.
because they had the strength and all this, but it doesn't really take strength. I mean, if a cat's coming at you, it has nothing to do with strength. And she was not the first, but one of the ones that believed in kindness. So it wasn't about, it was about rewarding and being kind to the animals.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's very cool. I wanna talk about another book. I thought that this again, another topic, very interesting, that you found these 2 and you're discussing about their being in the same arena, right?
Right. They're both
Yeah.
showgirls.
Mhm.
Sally Rand, almost everybody knows in our pop culture. She was a huge, huge fan dancer for years and years, probably like 50 years. She danced into her 70s or performed. Um, Probably like Gypsy Rose Lee, or maybe even more so because she came later, more mainstream, very accepting of her. But what really interested me was Faith Bacon, who's on the right of the book, and her really tragic story. She was actually the creator of this art form, and she was the one who famous for it first. But she didn't have the skills
Mm.
to market herself. She didn't have any support of family like Sally did. So Sally really took off and was the bigger name, even though Faith was first known for it. And both their stories paralleling, and one that really rises and the one that falls was interesting to me, and to see like why that happens, how that happens.
Yes, that someone comes before, yet you were the,
Right.
you were the batter to the actual cake, right? And then someone comes and actually makes the cake that much better.
Right.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great topic. That's a really interesting topic,
Yeah.
right? Because we've all been there. I
Right.
mean, I think everyone on the planet's been there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, where you're like, wait a second.
Yeah. It's just, a lot of support. One had a great family, the other did not. I think that was a really big thing. One was probably abused, the other was not.
Yes. Oh, so the product of your upbringing, how it I talk a lot about this in my second book, about your love capacity and how it starts getting full of junk,
Hmm.
right? So until you start releasing that junk, all of a sudden it's just like you start soaring in something, you keep hitting like this glass ceiling, right? Um, I want to ask you, as someone that's gone after their dreams, what's happened on the journey that surprised you?
Um, I guess that I could do it, you know, um, probably in a bigger way than I thought. I am, and I'm not surprised by the accolades, because what I think is interesting, I think other people will think is interesting. I
Hmm.
know how to tell a story. Um, so that's always nice to have it received well.
Yes, yes. But still, but there's been times where you're like, you've taken a step back and been like, "Oh, okay." Like that because you went after it,
Mhm.
right? I think if we knew what really came along with the dream, I don't know if we'd start running towards it all the time. Because there's always bumps. I don't care what's going on. There's always some kind of bump, right? I believe it's just the universe just nudging us, just helping us to kind of recalibrate along the way.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love that. A piece of advice that you would give, being such a woman supporter out there, that you would give other women, particularly women entrepreneurs that want to be authors, that want to do their own documentaries, want to go after their dream, sister?
I would say the typical follow your dream, but also you don't have to play by the rules, because
Yes.
it makes no sense. Like, oh, you can only, this is the path. It's like, really?
Right.
Who says? I'm not doing that.
No, you're not doing that. We know you're not.
Yeah. If I'm gonna get a roadblock, somebody's gonna say no. I mean, it's not ended. It's like,
Right?
okay, go right ahead.
Right? Right? You're gonna do that. And you write about and you, do documentaries on other people that don't follow the path,
Absolutely.
right? That haven't followed the path, and we can all learn from that. We can all learn from that. Absolutely.
It's all following their dream, not for any other reason than that's what they wanted to do.
Yes. Yes. Well, you're such a pleasure. Thank you so much for saying yes. Like I'm telling you, I've been following for the last couple years. And recently I saw the pigs and I was like, "Oh, I love this so much."
So
I mean,
cute.
she's so fun. You're really fun. You have a playful side about you, right? Though you're serious about about your work, but you have the playful side about you, which is always beautiful to see too.
Gotta have fun.
You get
For it.
It's so true, sister, it's so true. Well, I love you, I love you, I love you. I thank you for coming on the show. I'm gonna drop you down in the green room. You can grab yourself a cocktail and
Okay. It's a
down
little
there. Thank you again, Leslie. It's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure. Isn't she cool? She's doing some really cool stuff. If you're not following her on Instagram, follow her on Instagram. Follow her on Facebook. Follow her out there on social media. She does such interesting work that she's putting out there, and her support for women is endless. It's endless. And that's what I love when she does these pop-ups around, who to be watching in terms of authors out there. I appreciate your guys' time out there. And, I want to appreciate, and I want you guys to come back. You can grab a copy of my book on Amazon, Being Your Own Superstar, How to Expand Your Love Capacity. And my first book is The Red Carpet Guide to Visibility and Influence as well. I also have a product that's going to be dropping here. It is a prayer bottle that goes along with my second book they can use in your daily habit system. And I had a prayer bottle maker, a master, make this. And inside you can be holding it while you are doing your daily habit system, and close to your heart and helping you to take that to the next level. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I always end it like this. It is your birthright to stand in your spotlight and shine bright. Women entrepreneurs out there. So go and do it. It is literally your birthright. And thank you. Thank you for joining me today. You can learn more about me, my products, and services at joeyg113.com. Make sure to join me for another episode every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Coast Time on my globally recognized show, SWE Spotlight with Joey.